Roberts School District is located in south central Montana, approximately an hour south of Billings. And over the last 10 years, the economy and the demographics of our community have changed. We used to be a community that was very strong as far as farming and ranch families. Over the last 10 years, when people were selling real estate, the economy changed to real estate sales, which changed our community to the point that people couldn't sustain small farms. And what's that done is it's changed our economy as far as demographic of our students, from approximately 10 to 20% free and reduced lunch to now we're pushing 50%. And if you look at data, probably over the next 10 years, we'll probably be looking closer to 60, 70%. And a lot of things that we did here traditionally was we taught the structure, the math, the science, the literacy, the English. About 5 years ago, we really started to make pushes and changes to teaching the whole child through the Montana Behavioral Initiative and now the Multi-Tiered Systems of Support Initiative, and create our ROCKET motto, which we talk about respect, ownership, character, kindness, effort, teamwork, and safety. That piece has really allowed us to make some positive changes in our community.
My name is Jackie Ronning, and I'm the literacy coach at Roberts School, and I work closely with our preschool program here in town. For the past many years, there hasn't been a preschool to speak of in the town of Roberts. So we went to the community and we looked at a model that has worked here before. What we got going was a parent cooperative preschool. So the model is there are 5 or 6 families and a parent takes a turn one day a week teaching the students. And the overall impact is that we have kids that are more ready to come into our school system.
Ooh. What does it look like out there?
Sunny.
Sunny, okay.
It is sunny.
Can you find the sunny card?
Yeah. I would say sunny too.
What is that one? Oh, okay, you want to go pick a color marker? Okay, which one of these is sunny? First day of class and it's sunny. Yay!
I think that our kids will have a great advantage because they know the routine, they know the lunch routine, they know their peers, they know the teacher all before that first day of kindergarten. And it's not all new. It's not all going to be just a bombarding experience. It's going to be old business for these kids. And then each year, as those 3- and 4-year-olds come up, the kindergarten class is already going to know those kids. There's already going to be those bonds from the prior years of preschool. And I think it's going to be huge for these kids moving forward throughout the years.
What the Montana Comprehensive Literacy Project did for us a year ago is it allowed us to put gasoline on the fire. We've had 5 years where we've been putting this stuff into play, but we never had funding for the individual items. And now we have the money to send our teachers to strong trainings that is research-based. We have the ability to bring in the best curriculums so that our teachers are armed with the tools that they need to be successful in the classroom, not only as far as literacy goes, but as far as the social-emotional piece. And it's amazing to see the confidence changes that our staff members have. And now that we have these best practices in play, we have an instructional coach in play, we have a consultant in play, our teachers are so confident about what they go about with their daily basis that they're excited for state testing, which has not been the case around here. It's always been a nervous wreck time around here.
So in class, we are working on mapping spelling words. So what we do is we take the whole word, we say it together so we have sounding of it right, and then we break it apart into different sound chunks. So for instance, if your word is cat, we would all say cat, and then one student gets to tap it, tap each sound. So it'd be k, a, t, breaking apart into those sound chunks. And then after that, what letter would stand for each sound. So then they would say, oh, k is C, a is A, T is T. And then we'd have the spelling.
Your word is story. Class, what's the word?
Story.
Story. Let's get ready to tap it, McKenna.
Or
Ooh, how many sounds is that?
what? 4.
4 sounds. What are they?
Or
What makes the or here?
O-R.
That is a bossy R, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's the last sound?
E.
What makes the E here?
Y.
A Y. First grade,
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Spell story with me. Ready? S-T-O-R-Y. Beautiful. When before it might seem daunting to take a large word and try to spell it, but if you tap a word, they can see, oh, it's just small chunks of sound. I know the sounds, and then they're able to spell it a lot better. And that's part of the reason why I decided to work here was I wanted some professional development. Teachers don't get a lot of handouts like that. I think my first couple of years of teaching, I didn't give much attention to phonemic awareness and teaching kids those like really basic sound units. And I'm a first grade teacher, so it was eye-opening to think back to how I used to teach a spelling lesson to where I am now.
The Blast-Off Instructional Framework is something that we've been working on throughout the year and hope to include with all of our new teachers going forward to help guide their instruction. First items would be our bell ringers we're going to approximately work on for 1 to 5 minutes. And then we're going to go to a lead instruction where the teacher would lead for approximately 3 to 15 minutes. A stands for Ask Essential Question. S is for student practice, so make sure the students get that opportunity, but we specifically broke down the student practice section into a teacher assist portion, an observation portion, and a finishing thoughts portion. So what we're prescribing our teachers to do is to slowly back off from the instruction of Tier 1 down to Tier 2, and then specifically to Tier 3 through that piece. And then finally, we're going to come out, finish our day every single day with some sort of finishing ticket or exit ticket for our class.
So I call them, bell ringer. Usually that's just a way for me to kind of, as the kids walk into class, just get the day going on the right note. It could be different each day, whether it's analyze a photo, dissect this quote, list a few things. But in general, I like to do it be something that hooks them. Because I feel like that first 3 to 5 minutes, either you're hooking the class for the day or your class can go kind of array. And so usually I try to make that creative, interactive, something that can excite a 14-year-old kid into history. So we've been working on the Civil War, and we're kind of getting to the end here, and we're starting to look at life after Civil War. And really today was the first look at, what was the Reconstruction? And I used just the word, obviously, Reconstruction, to kind of break that word down. And one of the big things we've been focusing on with our literacy grant and having a literacy coach here is just breaking down our vocab words, right? It's one thing to give our students a list of vocab words and say memorize them. Instead, we've been really deconstructing from the prefix to the root word to the suffix of it, and allowing kids to have that skill to decode all sorts of different words, right? And apply that to science, to math, to English, or whatever it may be.
Period after the Civil War. We call that Reconstruction. Okay? So let's take a second to kind of break this word down. At the prefix of all this, right, we notice re, right? So think of a few words that you know with re. Let's take a little bit further, Braden.
Construction.
Okay?
Construction is to rebuild.
Construct. Right? Think of other words that you have with construct. List 2 or 3 of them. Okay? In the last part, I-O-N, right? That's just the act of doing it. Last thing I want you to do is to create a definition, your own made definition for the Civil War, or the period after the Civil War. A definition for Reconstruction.
Kids love consistency, whether you like it or not. They like coming in and knowing what to do, how to do it, and what you expect of them. And so walking into the room and having that set out and laid out there for them, it gets them going for their whole day, really, in that mindset of, okay, what do I need to do when I walk into the classroom?
One of the biggest focuses through the grant process is we wanted to become more data-driven. What we realized is we had quality data as far as student growth, but we didn't really know why. If you look at our reading scores, you can see starting at the 15-16 school year, we actually going on up through the 18-19 as far as reading goes, language goes, and total scores go. Our scores went up from 15-16 to 16-17 and then dropped 17-18, and this fall are kind of pretty similar to where they were in the 17-18. What we found about that is as we got more familiar with the test, the data kind of leveled out because we were providing better instruction before that. So kids couldn't just magically grow because they were prepared coming into the class level. It's looking at our math and science scores, a very similar result, but our 18-19 scores are significantly stronger than their 17-18 scores. And these are all mid-year scores for 18-19, and with some of the training and stuff we received even throughout this year, I expect our 18-19 scores, our summative scores, to be much stronger. Because of the data-driven decision-making process we're utilizing, and because we are using the MAPS data, we all feel, and the back end of the MAPS system, we all feel that our data is going to significantly grow in the next year.
One of the areas that we focused on this year is our MTSS system. It's a multi-tiered system of support for students. We looked at last spring's data and we noticed that our Tier 2 students were not growing like they needed to be. And so that is one area we really got to work on through differentiated instruction, research-based interventions, and a common language between the teachers that work with these students. We have been able to get those kids moving. Some of those students have experienced major growth in their test scores, in their confidence. By working in all those areas for the Tier 2 kids, Tier 1 and Tier 3 kids have benefited as well. We're seeing growth from all students because of the focus we've placed there in the middle.
This community with the Community Foundation and the items that they support, as far as you'll see it out front of our school. We have a beautiful marquee. You saw the addition that they built onto the school in 2002 that allowed our kids to play in one of the nicer gyms in South Central Montana. Our local churches, our Methodist church comes and allows us to have preschool at their church in their worship room. Our Church of the Rockies has nightly meals on Monday nights all year round, and they allow us to come in and do book giveaways. This community understands it takes a village to raise a child. The environment that we all picture of the school 20 years ago was the lecture and the teacher covered in chalkboard or whiteboard material markers. Kids need to talk. Kids need to think. When the kids are talking, you know that they're doing the thinking and they're listening. And that piece makes me excited as administrator to look at our data going forward, because I know that our kids are learning because they're so engaged.